Okay. I've been coming to your seminars for, I guess, a little bit over 3 years now. I've been to quite a few of them. I am on the master's program. Anytime that I have a CD in my car, it's usually Abraham. And I've always really enjoyed it. But that said, I haven't noticed any huge changes in my life. And I've been okay with that. But then suddenly, in the last, let's say, 3 or 4 months, a few really interesting and very good things have happened. And it seems to be accelerating over the last few weeks. And I guess I wanted to know, first off, is it a fluke? And I'm guessing no, otherwise you wouldn't have called on me. But still, it's nice to confirm it. But second, why now and not then? Why not for this whole period? And why is it suddenly happening now?
Because old habits die hard. And in the same way that you walked right up to a chair that everybody made a big deal about being taped to the floor and you still nearly tore it from the floor when you sat down, because you are a creature of habit. Mm-hmm. You and everyone else, you are a creature of habit with thought too. And so it's just taking a while for the new way of feeling to become habitual. And now you're on this role, and more important, now you're on this aware role where you're actually acknowledging the difference. Now you're off and running.
So I can fully expect that this is going to continue and even accelerate more.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
So we're wanting to help you to remember that while you are in these physical bodies, you are so much more. And while in these physical bodies, you may recognize that there was something before it, there's got to be. In other words, you look around your planet and you know there's something way more than what you have going on. In other words, as brilliant as you all are, you're not launching other Earths into orbit. And when you do launch something into orbit, often something falls off of it right away. In other words, there is a much bigger plan of creation going on than is happening from your physical format. And we know you acknowledge that, but we want you to realize that, yes, while there certainly was something before you were in this physical body, and absolutely will be something after you are no longer focused in this physical body, the most important thing for you to remember is that you are a being who has a non-physical basis and a physical basis all at the same time. You've talked about this as you talk about your soul or your spirit. You talk about it even as you talk about that which you call God. We want you to understand that you in your physical body are an extension of a broader, older, eternal you. And it's an energy that is pure positive energy in the sense that from your framework, you would be able to recognize no negative emotion whatsoever. It's an essence of understanding that has been born out of the evolution of experience. It's interesting as we listen to our physical friends talk about or wonder about or worry about or argue about evolution, even though there's so much evidence of this continuing expansion of all species. But we want you to understand that it's not just in the physical sense that things are evolving and becoming more. It is in every sense. Everything that you know as physical has a non-physical basis, and everything that is non-physical is expanding. And you cannot have a physical expansion without there being a non-physical expansion at the heart of it. In other words, it really is pointless to try to separate what's physical and what's non-physical, because it is components of the same. Non-physical is essential to physical, and physical is essential to non-physical. And everything is expanding. So that which man wants to call God, we call it source energy. That which man wants to call God is expanding because of that which you are experiencing out here on this leading edge. So you were source energy and still are, but a part of that source energy was projected into that which you know as you. And now you are here, you are so predominantly focused here that, and it is the way you intended it. It is a wonderful thing that you are fully aware of this physical experience here. As you are here focused upon the variety, you cannot help but come to constant new conclusions about what would be better. Even when you breathe the air, the cells of your body are sending responses about how the air is that they are breathing. In other words, the consciousness in your body is consciousness that is making requests also. The species that lived on your planet before you got here were the advanced version of that which was to be you, here experiencing the atmosphere, having experiences that caused it to ask for more and more and more. You understand what we are getting at? You didn't just get here and say, oh, lucky for us, we can breathe this air. It was being created by the ever continuing asking of the consciousness that was the leading edge consciousness at that time. And so here you are, leading edge consciousness, experiencing life, and in your human form, with your brain being the captain of your ship, having exposure to experience and asking for constant improvement, whether you use your words or not, you can't help but do it. But even at a cellular level, you are asking, and future experiences are benefiting by the asking that is taking place by every point of consciousness that is here physically focused. So, it's a big picture, isn't it? The non-physical part of you is expressing here more specifically and deliberately, and specifically like pioneers exploring life and asking for more. Now, why would you do that? Would you do that because life needs to be more? No, it isn't that you need another picture, or you need another statue, or you need another piece of clothing, or you need another much of anything. It's that you want it. It's that it's natural to live life, and it's natural because every particle of consciousness is selfishly oriented. It's natural from your selfish, what would be better for me position, to acknowledge what would be better for you from this leading edge perspective. You see, we can see how you would say, oh, that's selfish, what's better for me? If you are living in an environment that is lack-oriented and has shortage consciousness that says, oh, you selfish one, you're worrying about what will come for you, and you might use it up so that the rest of us won't have so much. But when you understand that that's not the way that it works, that every point of consciousness is asking and every point of consciousness is being answered, then you can't call it selfish, then you gotta call it creation. It can't be selfish if everyone can ask and everyone is answered. It can't be called selfish, can it? You gotta stop feeling that it's wrong for you to ask for what you want, because you can't stop asking for what you want. Every particle of the universe is oriented in that way. And if you could stop asking for what you want, you would cease to be. And we don't just mean you, we would mean everything. But don't worry, it can't happen, because everything is moving forward. Everything is moving forward. You just can't have exposure to an experience without coming to a conclusion about what would be better. Jerry knows that after living with Esther for a few years in the bus. Every day she finds a better way of doing a few things. Every day things are in a different place, a better place, a better place, a new and improved place. Almost every time she performs any function, she improves it slightly. She trims a little time off of it, or she makes it more fun. She enjoys it a little more, or she puts it in a different place. In other words, it's just the nature of that which you are. You must look forward, because you realize at many levels of your being, even what you might call unconscious levels of your being that we're wanting to bring forward to the consciousness, even at unaware, oblivious levels of your being, you are asking and Source is answering, and you are expanding, and it is all so very good. We are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. We see our value to you as helping you, no matter what your subject is, to close your gap on it. We want to show you that while it's not possible for you to find appreciation if you're depressed, it's not even possible for you to be happy when you're sad. In other words, it's not possible for you to make those big vibrational jumps, but it is possible for you to move a little and a little and a little, just lean a little more, a little more, a little more toward what you want. We want you to realize that this powerful law of attraction, which says that which is likened to itself is drawn, has created an incredible vortex that summons to itself. In other words, when your life has caused you to ask for something, and the Source within you becomes it and holds the idea of it, and law of attraction responds to that vibrational concentration, there is a sensation of momentum moving toward that which you have become. And to you, it would feel like a fast-moving river that if you stick your toe in it, it pulls you in the direction of its current. And that analogy of a fast-moving river serves you really well if you will let it, because if you've ever been on a fast-moving river, Jerry and Esther were last summer, a really fast-moving river, and when they put their rubber raft in, they knew the stream was going to take them downstream. Not one of them said, meet you upstream. There were about 30 boats, most of them high school wrestlers, and even they did not try to paddle upstream. So if you get this sensation of this inevitable stream that's moving, and we've explained to you why it is inevitable and why it is powerful, and you realize that everything that you want is in that current, in that stream, and if you will let yourself go, and by that we don't mean put a motor on your boat and drive it downstream. We don't even mean turn your boat around and paddle downstream. We don't even mean turn your boat around. We just mean let go of those paddles, let go of the oars. If you will stop the upstream paddling, the downstream naturalness will take you. In other words, if you'll stop complaining, your solutions will come. If you'll stop defending, you'll have nothing to defend against. If you'll stop pushing against what you don't want, you'll get what you do want. And so, bless your hearts, you have almost understood it when you got here. You said, okay, I'm in the contrast. I'm the human physical part, and I'm in the contrast. And contrast is good, right? You said, right? And we said, right. Contrast is good. And you said, so, and out of this contrast, I will come to conclusions about what I want, right? And we, right. When you explore the contrast, you will come to conclusions about what you want. And then you said, and then I will keep explaining why I want it by pointing out why I don't want the other, right? And we said, no, that isn't the way. And you said, but that feels more natural. I said, I'll try it out on my mother. And your mother caved into you. Your mother often caved into your whining and complaining. And a lot do. And we can see some of you questioning whether that was true, because all of you think your mothers were more rigid than we know them to be. But as we look at society, we have to acknowledge that something like that went on pretty early in your experience, because the majority of humans spend the majority of their time in their quest for improvement explaining why they need the improvement by pushing against what's wrong. Never recognizing, or rarely recognizing, that when you explain why you don't want that, you can't get that, because it's a different vibration. Every subject's two subjects. It's like picking up a stick, and on one end of it is wellness, and on the other end of it is illness. So you can't rail against illness and become well. Even the word healing is an upstream word. I'm going to overcome this illness, but illness is what's in the vibrational sites. I'm going to overcome this illness, and we say you're still pointed upstream. I know, but I'm going to beat it. Well, you're still pointed upstream. You're not letting yourself go willingly. Your state of sickness already asked for the wellness, so it's already underway. But you're tensing against, and you're not letting yourself go. And then we want to point out to you that it's not your attention to sickness that makes you sick. It's your attention to a myriad of other things. It's all the little picky-oonish things that you fuss and worry about. It's the things that you don't call the big things in life, but they're the chronic things. If you are chronically complaining about a lot of different things, you are chronically not letting yourself move easily with the stream. Oh, you're going. You're just not going willingly, you see. And when you don't go willingly, the stream beats you up. Have you noticed? The stream will beat you up because, as the river guide told Jerry and Esther and their gang, this isn't Disneyland, and we can't turn this river off. And we want you to know the same thing. The river is eternally flowing, and this might help you. It might annoy you too. Your river's moving faster than any river we've ever seen move. Out here on this leading edge with all of this contrast and all of this attention and all of this interaction worldwide, all of this ability to communicate with one another, all of this ability to see far beyond what's happening in your village. You've got your nose in every village in the world. And you don't even have your nose in the villages that are thriving. You've got your nose in the villages that aren't thriving. You've got your nose in all the problems of the world, and you are chronically holding your attention upon those unwanted things.